Hey, Abundant Life Church, happy Thursday. So glad that I get to come to you guys today. Um, really excited to do the daily devotion today. I want to just go over maybe some final quick thoughts on Creator God, the message that we had on Sunday. And there's a scripture that Pastor used on Sunday that I think is very important that we remember and that we understand and that we look at. And it's, if the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? And he talked about how in cultures when there is no foundation for Christ, and foundation for God, and missionary friend who had he had to go back and had to explain everything, and I think in times we forget, because many of us know that America was founded as a Christian nation, was founded by Christian men on Christian principles, that unfortunately our culture has moved our country from a Christian nation to a post-Christian nation. Now, that doesn't mean that those of us who are living for God are no longer living for God. What that means is that we have to sometimes approach things differently. We have to we can't assume a certain level of biblical knowledge. We can't assume a certain level of spiritual understanding. We have to sometimes begin the conversation at the beginning, right? It's not enough to tell people that Jesus died for their sins. You have to explain to them why it was necessary for him to die for their sins, right? There is a lack of understanding surrounding everything in the Bible because people have rejected, culture has rejected this, and because of that, it's not being taught to children. Children aren't hearing these stories in the same ways, and some of this stuff, and the ones they do hear are fantasized and they're made into like mythical legends, on par with Hercules or Odysseus or some of these people from Greek mythology who it's not the same, right, as the stories from the Bible. The stories in the Bible are true. So we have to sometimes approach things differently, and we have to understand culture and yet still not be a part of it, right? The Bible tells us to be in the world and not of it. To be aware of some of these things, to be able to see some of these things, and be able to know how to speak to the issues and things that they have. And Pastor talked about how because God is creator, he has all authority, and that is absolutely true. And we're now living in a culture that has denied an absolute authority, that says there is, to my own self be true, right? That's who I am. You do you, I'm gonna do me, and whatever I say is what goes for me, and that can be a fluid thing, right? Today I can be okay with this, and tomorrow I cannot be, and we can wish-wash around, and we've removed the idea of an absolute moral authority, and that's what leads to moral decay, because when you remove the absolute standard for authority, then it becomes subjective to whoever wants it. Morality is not something that can be subjective. Morality has to be a firm line, or chaos will run rampant, chaos will reign, and things will descend into madness and into chaos, because there is a line that has to be held, and that's part of who God is, and what God has as the absolute authority is that he says, this is the line. This is morality. This is what I say. And when we begin to believe in God, and we put our faith in him, and we put our hope in him, and we put our trust in him, and we allow him to be the moral authority in our lives, and the authority in general in our lives, it does free us up. It frees us up from the stress of having to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. There's so many variables, so many things I can't control. Well, God knows. God is still in control. That never changes. With this whole coronavirus pandemic and everything that's going on, I had the opportunity to speak and share even just a little bit of the Bible with my son, in the idea and around the concept of nobody knows what can happen tomorrow. Remember, the Bible says that no one come to me, you who say today or tomorrow we'll go to such and such a place, buy, sell, and make a profit. And then Jesus, when you don't know what will happen tomorrow, for what is your life? Is it even a vapor that appears for a short time and passes away? What you ought to say is, if the Lord wills, we shall live to do this, that, or the other thing. And I was able to share with him because of this. I said, listen, everyone had a plan. Everyone had something, we all had plans for this time. We had things that we were doing. We had stuff that we wanted to do, stuff we were excited to do. As a staff of the church, we had stuff that we were working on that we were going to be doing, and all this kind of stuff. And all of that stuff kind of went by the wayside when all of a sudden our whole world shifted and our whole world changed. But the person who wasn't caught off guard by all this was God. The person who wasn't up there going, oh, what am I going to do now, was God. And when we put our faith in Him, when we put our trust in Him, when we put our hope in Him, it allows us to understand that we may be able to look at the world and say, God, I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand what's going on. But I can trust you with my future. I can trust you with today. I can trust you with tomorrow. I can tell you as a parent, one of the greatest fears sometimes that I carry is, what is the world that my children will inherit going to look like? When we look out at the world and we see things that are happening and we see the things that go on, it is natural for us to look at the world and to be apprehensive or to have fear and to worry about what world will my children inherit? What will it look like? What will they have to endure because of what my generation has allowed? And it's in those moments of fear and despair, and if I'm going to be completely honest with you, Abundant Life family, there are moments where I have felt deep fear over the world that my children will inherit. And it's in those moments that I have to come back and I have to remember that God is creator, that God has all authority, that God can look out for my children far better than I ever could. And when I rest in that thought, when I rest in those promises, when I remember promises in His Word, when I remember verses like, I have never seen the righteous forsaken, nor their children begging for bread. When I remember those things, when I remember that one of the names of God is my provider, that He is the wonderful counselor. When I remember these things about God and about who He is, it pushes aside fear. It allows me to move past fear, because fear is limited. Fear creeps in because we're only looking through a human perspective, through our human mind, through our limited human vision. And fear rises up because in our limited human vision, we can't see a way out. And that's again why authority being with the Creator, who sees all and who knows all, who the Bible says His thoughts are as higher than ours as the mountains are above the sea. That God cares about us, and He is looking out for us, that He is there for us. And that's a way to move past fear. The Bible says that perfect love casts out fear. When we understand that God's love is perfect, that God Himself is love, that we have nothing to fear, that we don't have to worry about what the world can do to us. We don't have to worry about what the future is going to hold. We don't have to worry about what the next few weeks and all of this is going to look like. We don't have to fear. And I can't promise you that tomorrow everything is going to be better. I can't promise you that in 3 weeks everything will be better. I can't promise you what tomorrow will look like. If this last month and a half has taught me anything, it's to understand that I can't predict anything that's going to come. But that I have to have faith in a Creator and in an authority who has all power, who is greater than I am in every way, but that who loves me and wants what's best for me, who is looking out for me, who is taking care of me. And that can help me to move past fear of the unknown, fear of anything, to God, I know that you are in control. God, I know that you are on the throne. Lord, I know that you are Creator God. And I know that you have all authority. And so, Lord, I submit to your authority. I submit to your plan. I submit to your will. God, I just want to do what you want me to do. I want to be who you want me to be. And I want to fear, Lord. So those are just some thoughts today on God as creator, on God as authority. And I would encourage you, if you have fear, if you have apprehension about the world, about things that are going on, all of that stuff, you can obviously always reach out to us at Abundant Life. But I would encourage you to share those things with God. It's not a bad thing to tell God when you're afraid. It's not a bad thing to share with God when you're concerned, when you have doubts, when you have apprehensions. He's a big God. He can handle it. And remember, prayer is a communication with God. We're supposed to talk with Him. So talk to Him about it. And then make sure you listen. See if He doesn't speak back to you. Remind you that He has you, that He loves you, that He is looking out for you. So Abundant Life Church, I hope you found this encouraging today. I hope that this maybe speaks to a need in your life. Remember that the staff of Abundant Life, we are always here for you. If you need anything, just let us know. And I love you guys so much, and I will see you all Sunday online. All right, bye-bye.